Bounce back players can win leagues, and these three gentlemen have so much bounce back potential that it's crazy. Really, you're baking in majority of all the risk involved. Lad a little bit less because he's climbing into like the bottom of round 3. But, you know, in grandma environments, in your grandma league, Uncle Buck, Uncle Bud, you can still probably get him top of 4, 10-man leagues for sure. But Lad would be the one that's starting to almost climb into the territory where he's going to still potentially win you a league, but he has a little more risk involved. BTJ, there's not a lot of risk. There's tons of upside. There's tons of disappointment maybe awaiting, but the risk is very low. You're not buying him anywhere near where you used to buy him. Egbuka, same thing. Egbuka is just loaded with top 10 wide receiver potential. You pay 0% of that cost of entry. He is so late and disregarded. The PTSD involved in this situation is making him an absolute steal. These three guys we're going after in 2026 at the right cost of entry, which is almost every single time you're on the clock. And an existing dynasty, attack. The Fantasy Football Show Graveyard Edition begins right now. File on in.
You're watching a
Graveyard Stream.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Looky here, reindeer. We've got BTJ, Emeka Egbuka, and Lad McConkey, all really, quite honestly, realm of possibility potential wide receiver ones, like even if it's low end. Not that all of them will be, I get that, but the potential's there for each one of them. And I love these guys at the right price. In BTJ, there's a quiet, hidden mechanism that gets triggered the moment his situation potentially changes. If he goes to New England or Buffalo to be the number 1 wide receiver, guess who benefits? Let me move this over on Thomas, and as I talk about each one, I'll drag that around. Remind me if I don't. BTJ, if he gets traded to, let's say, and he's not for sure going to get traded, but he's not a fit where he's at. They brought in Myers, Washington, Parker. We love P-Wash. Parker Washington climbed up. Travis Hunter's still there, and you can say what you want about, the news said he's not going to play D. He's going to play DB only. You can think what you want. You can think about the fact that he was only going to play wide receiver. Now he's only going to play DB. And if you can change one way, it could change back. And not to mention the reports of him playing part-time, barely any wide receiver, full-time DB. That's not exactly what Cohen said. That's what people are interpreting Cohen to have said. And even if it ends up being partly true, 4 or 5 receptions a game on part-time duty, you still might get a monster in Travis Hunter. An efficient monster when he comes on the field, which will be not to just run a go route and get himself tired so he can't play good defense. He'll enter the game to be the focal point of that play. There's just too much. It's crowded over in Jacksonville. So, and he's not a good fit. He really isn't. You think about when BTJ did well, Mac Jones and BTJ blew up. This guy was a top 4 wide receiver in fantasy his rookie year with the majority of Mac Jones signal calling. The moment that T-Law entered the equation at the end of the year, he fell flat. Now we saw on top of that, we wondered, is that true or is it just a random sequence of events and just bad luck, rookie wall? It was true because BTJ with Trevor Lawrence was pretty flat all year long. Now, if he does stay, the cost of entry is so low that he can be a little sporadic, and especially in Best Ball Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty. That link is in the description of the video. Use code Smitty if you enter the code manually, but they'll match your first deposit 50% all the way up to $1,000. Draft a big board for $10, and first place gets $200K. You're drafting a guy that last year we took at 10, 11, 9, 8 overall, 7 overall. Biggest bust in fantasy probably was Brian Thomas Jr. Over JJ, over everybody. I don't care if he even got hurt. This is the biggest bust. This was the most painful thing to watch because he was on the field and he still was no better than neighbors who suffered an ACL tear and couldn't even participate. And this guy's out there playing worse than neighbors not playing. It was awful. It was dreadful. But again, you are not counting on him being wide receiver 4, 5, or 6 with T. Law. If he stays worst case scenario, the cost of entry you're getting back even with T. Law and them not jiving well. And the chance that they do a midseason trade, week 5 trade, week 8, it could certainly happen if he's just not jiving and fitting well. But the thing about Liam Cohen is he's probably going to look at this roster and say, man, we brought in Jacoby, we gave him money. They extend, like, right? You know, you're giving him a contract, and P. Wash wasn't anywhere, you know, on anybody's radar at the beginning. And all of a sudden, P. Wash is now maybe the number 1 wide receiver, and we believe that he's a, do we have him on the, I think we're putting him on the Moon Man list. He might not be on there yet, but he's a Moon Man in theory, P. Wash. We love Parker Washington. So, I don't know, man. If I'm Liam Cohen, what am I thinking here? We barely missed the cut, right? Team didn't actually step up at the end of the day in the playoffs. We were good all year. We're missing something. Well, how do you get that missing piece or component for your team? You trade the excess. You cut the excess fat. You don't need this guy. He's still got tremendous value. You trade him to Buffalo or to New England. He becomes potentially a superstar or a breakout player from the new perspective in level and cost of entry. And we all win. Jacksonville gets to get their extra component or piece that helps them try and get over that hump that they couldn't get over with having this excess fat in the wide receiver room and having holes elsewhere that they can now fill by sending BTJ somewhere else. I love BTJ in the right context. I can't stand BTJ for what he did to us last year. And I would not touch him with a 10-foot pole if he was anywhere near last year's cost of entry. That's the difference. You walk out of the room, you step out of the room, clear-headed, you exit the scene, you walk back in, and you say to yourself, this is a different BTJ. This is BTJ late in the draft. This is not BTJ expecting number 4 wide receiver value. That makes him a different BTJ. This BTJ I like because I don't have to pay top dollar at all. And I might, via trade, get top dollar. And if I don't get a trade, I still get what I pay for. That is a win-win scenario. Lad McConkey, on the other hand, you are paying for a near premium wide receiver, high-end 2, low-end 1, but high-end 2 for sure, because he's going like mid-third to late third to early 4th. If you're paying mid-third, you're getting closer and closer to that territory where he doesn't really even belong on the screen. He's more so you're getting what you pay for. If he works out, if he doesn't, you're kind of screwed. So how much do you believe in him? How much do you believe in Malibu Mike? How much do you believe in the Chargers offensive line staying healthy so that the run game can reciprocate and stretch the field and spread out defenders and give back to the passing game, and they reciprocate back and forth, allowing good field position? And how does that all trickle to the defense and then get them back into field position? It's such a cascading roller coaster that just feeds off the defense, feeding off the offense feeding off the defense, the pass feeding off the run feeding off the pass. All of it is a connected spider web. And so, Lad, if you trust the situation, even if the cost of entry isn't extremely high, it's high and acceptable, but it kind of, you're getting what you pay for. It doesn't mean it's a player you don't draft. Because when you draft Gibbs at number 2 or 3, are you getting a extreme steal in terms of the number? No, but you're getting a guarantee. Almost. Nothing's a guarantee. Injury can strike anybody, but you're getting a commodity that is going to be so reliable that it's worth the cost of entry. Lad is flirting with that when he's at mid-third. When he's at bottom third, like third, fourth turn pick, you're getting him essentially for the 4.1. Even if you have the 4.11 and the 4.2, I'm sorry, the 3.11 and the 4.2, it still feels like he's essentially... Whoa. Lamb Chops is like, hold on, I want to interrupt. It's essentially as if you're... Let me put Lad on here. And let's see if we can remove all of these bad boys. We'll leave Buka because we might talk about Buka in a second, so I'll put Buka right there. But Laddie boy Let's put Laddie McConkey over on this screen. And again, if you're taking Laddie Boy at this 3-4 turn, I mean, if I'm taking a 3.12, to me, he feels like a fourth drafted player. And that's fine. I'm totally fine with Ladd being anything remotely close to resembling my fourth drafted player. When he's mid-third, that's when you start paying the price. You hope that it all works out, and it probably will. And I'm still okay drafting that. It's just not something you're going to, tell your grandchildren and necessarily feed families on. You're just going to get what you need to win a league. And he's part of that consistent component you rely on where the production's there. The later you get him, the more he's league winning with low risk. Emeka Egbuka, on the other hand, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll pull up his ADP live as it updates every night on Underdog. Promo code Smitty. Underdog. Play 5, get 75. They'll match your first deposit 50% all the way up to a mother freaking $1,000. And there's a $10 big board right now where first place is 200K, second is 300, or second is 100K, first place is 200K. And the big board is phenomenal. I love the big board. Ladd McConkey, by the way, ADP of 36. So right on the money in terms of my example here. This is not his ADP you're reaching. Don't be a reaching Roger. If you don't have a late third round pick, then guess what? Ladd's not going to be on your team in that league, and that's the way it should be. Don't start reaching for everybody because Smitty talked them up. Take these guys in their spots. Take other players in the mid-third. You could get Bucky. You could get Breece Hall. You could get Josh Allen. Go that route. Go that route here instead of trying to force what I'm saying here, and you're impatient like an impatient Ian, and you screw up the league where you got the 3.4 selection. And you're like, Smitty, I did what you said. I took Ladd. I didn't say take Ladd. I said take a lap. Take Ladd when you're here, because then he's fourth drafted player value material. Looking at the other, we're talking about Egbuka. Egbuka has an ADP of, good Lord, 47 overall. 47 overall, ladies and gentlemen. That is a fantastic, and might I also add, so 36, 48, we're probably talking about more likely than not 5.1. And I definitely push it to the limit. Like if I'm drafting at the end of 4, again, that makes sense. That's fine. But if I'm drafting at the top of 5, I really, really like this value. This is what I wait for. This is what I try and strike on. Similar to not wanting to strike on the mid-third Ladd as much as loving the late third or top of 4 Ladd McConkey value. This is where you wait. You pounce and you strike. If you start dancing in here because Smitty said Buka is going to be fine, you're ruining some of the upside. Draft somebody else in round 4. And if you miss Buka in this league, so be it. Use some mother freaking discipline and stop pushing everybody up around because you're so impatient and you want to grab the guy Smitty talked about, and you ruin your own team. You ruin your own ADP. And when some of us get in a mock draft or even a best ball draft where you're spending $5 or $10 of your hard-earned money, you still get into, some of you, I'm talking about just a select like 15 or 20 of you watching right now. You get into a draft, you're so impatient, you start sniping like crazy, and Buka's going at 4.1 because you can't contain yourself. That's your fault. You're drafting outside the confines of the advice that this channel's giving. If you want to win a league, stay inside the confines. Stay in your lane. Stop trying to drift and get players rounds early because you can't handle not getting them in that specific league. Play in another league, Steve. Play in another league. Stop ruining your own upside. This guy wins leagues in round 5. He belongs at the top of 5. He will slip to the top of 5. I would say nearly half the time. This ADP is going to continue to drop. Not to mention, I do sense that people are really worried about everything going on in Tampa Bay right now, and he's slowly going to drop as other people start to become a little more secure feeling. It's not so much that Buka's situation is going to change a ton and make him drop. It's that all the other players, especially rookies like Tyson and Carnell Tate and Mekhi Lemon, rookies, and then other players that are going to climb up like Loveland, they're all going to feel more secure than they do now. Later, every day we creep toward week 1, and so Buka will naturally just kind of get filed down one slot. Then before you know it, he's got 5.5, 5.6 ADP. We're in here cheering, and then Steve comes in and goes, well, I took him at 4.1 like you said. I did not say that. That's your fault. He's a 5th-round gold mine. Leave it at that. These are 3 players that your boy Smitty absolutely loves, even a little after ADP. Try and steal them away, and you might steal away a championship with that single move, or 2 of these 3, or all 3 on one team. Who the hell knows? But do it, and do it live, and do it well. Dial it.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Yeah, some of you are saying you're getting Buka in round 6. Like, that's what I'm saying. You don't even think about it in 4. It's not even, you can't even do it. It's 5. In non-best ball, it's going to be 6. The reason that some of you might be seeing different in a mock draft or in some sort of weird other place that you're drafting is because on Underdog, the wide receiver consumption is a little higher. So you're going to have wide receivers ripped off the board in general in the first 4 or 5 rounds, a little higher rate than you will elsewhere. So that means that Buka will fall into the 6 in some cases. So we won't be here long, guys. I wanted to make sure I came on here and did a video. Drop a like, drop a thumb up. If you got a super chat, I'll answer it immediately in order in which it was received. Let me go over to the Rumble side of the fence and see who's here from Rumble. I got Aldi, I got Bare Bones. I've got Bullfrog. Bullfrog, good to see you back in here, my boy. Bullfrog says Egbuka JSN light. It's very, very much a similar situation. Do you get JJ or Tet? JJ. Do you get JJ or Tet? Bro, JJ is light years above Tet. I don't know what you mean there. 2.3 for JJ. 2.3 and... Okay, I think the question was 2.3 and Tet for JJ. JJ is light years ahead, bro. I would give up 2 second-rounders, 3 second-rounders with Tet to get JJ. I give up a first-rounder. Maybe not the 1.1 or something, but I give up a mid to late to unknown 2027 or 2028 if it was mid to late. I'm not giving up an early 2027. I love the early part of that draft class, but the late part of it, just because it's 2027 and Steve told you that it's great, it's not great throughout. There's pockets in there, but I give up Tet and a late or mid 28 first for JJ in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. That's not even close. Thank you, my boy Bullfrog. Glad to have you here. Bare Bones in the building. Guys, don't forget the Rumble show at 10,000 followers on Rumble, 10K. We're at 4.05K on Rumble. We're over 40% there. That number doesn't mean anything, the 10K, if someone drops a 500 BTC, Bitcoin, or Ethereum, or Tether Gold tip from the Rumble wallet. The moment somebody, especially if you have like a business or something, or your girl's got a sewing side business, or I don't know, anything. Your grandma has a sewing company or whatever, or your dad's got a tire shop or whatever. You drop the 500 BTC Bitcoin tip. I'm dedicating the first month of the Rumble show. Not only do we start it right away, and the 10K goal doesn't matter. We start the Rumble show right away. We'll do it the next day. We'll do it the next day. The whole month is dedicated to you, the Bitcoin dropper, the Ethereum dropper, the Tether Gold dropper. And if you wanted to make that name your whatever your little business is, we'll do that too. Or Pops has the tire shop or whatever. So just letting you know that will trigger it. We got Travesty with 1 gifted membership over on the YouTube side of the fence. Appreciate you, my boy, dropping the gifted membership. Aldi, thank you. Travis, you're live.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, I mean, I really think Buka is going to end up being the number 1 there.
Oh, yeah.
I think Evans is leaving. I mean, he doesn't have to. And maybe he's happy, just playing out the string in Tampa. But I think, like you talked about, it'll be intriguing for him to kind of get wined and dined and, go to a team that, the Bucks are a competitor, but he might be able to go to a team that's even closer to a championship. So, like Buffalo or something. So, I don't have any concern about Buka at all.
I know. And you look at Buka's numbers, and he was unreal, man. He was absolutely. This is bothering me. He was unreal. He was so good. He was top 3 in the league, essentially, for that. I don't know, forget if it was 6, 7, 8 games, whatever the stretch was. And then when he fell off the map, it sucked. It was brutal to watch, but kind of like the Chargers offensive line fell apart or he got injured. The entire offense fell apart. Who did well on the Chargers roster? Nobody. Ladd, Gadsden, Hampton,
Right.
Herbert. They all what does that tell you? That tells you that it had to do with the team. None of those players were really responsible for not having production. And I feel the same way about the Buccaneers. What happened to Bucky? He was not very good. What happened to Baker? He was not very good. What happened to everybody on the roster? They were not very good. So I don't blame the individual players in either the Chargers or the Buccaneers situations. And I think that you can't fake the things that Buka brought to the table. In fact, they're anomalies. He's a unicorn in terms of receiver skill set for a rookie, for his knowledge, his attitude, his grit, his determination. I know he dropped a ball that would have turned everything around, really. He had a touchdown grab where he's backed up, he's backing up, backpedaling, and just dropped a wide open touchdown. That would have really changed the entire narrative. Even if that had been the only thing that happened, it would have been a bounce back performance inside a drought, and it would have given people a sign. Right now, people just think he's trash and he busted. Buka could be a top 8 wide receiver with ease in 2026. I'm not saying you count on it. I'm not saying you draft it. I, again, couldn't emphasize enough. I thought I emphasized it pretty well, but you cannot take him higher than this 5th round. You just can't. It doesn't make any sense. Let somebody else be this 4th round pick for you. And in that league, you won't own Buka, but you'll have plenty of opportunities if you play in multiple leagues, and especially if you do Best Ball Underdog promo code Smitty, where you can do a $10 big board right now. First place gets $200K, second gets $100K, and then there's the Best Ball Mania that's going to come up after the draft. I just don't understand like where anybody sees risk with him when all of those intangible things that he brought to the table, his knowledge, his resume of playing in chaos and moving around every position because he's playing with the best wide receivers in college football. Just no one had more competition than Egbuka, period. And what he brought to the table for a consistent amount of games was enough evidence to know that the falling apart of his season mirrored everybody else in Tampa, just like the falling apart of Ladd, Gadsden, and Hampton mirrored everybody in LAC. Do not blame Buka. Do not blame even Baker to a degree because he was playing injured and the whole offense was not looking good. You got Zach Robinson, he's now the OC in Tampa, who just made, I believe it was 3. Travis, I don't know if you can look. I believe London was wide receiver 1. I think 3 different occasions in 2025. And
he was.
I think it was 3.
Yep, week 6 against Buffalo, week 9 against New England, week 10 against Indy.
Bijan,
also wide receiver 5, one of the weeks he played.
Bijan had 800 yards receiving, 1,400 yards rushing, double-digit touchdowns, 79 receptions. London was wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 1 3 different times, and then he hit a drought with Penix Jr. out where you get like that was in a small period of time, really. It was in a shorter season, and then the end of his season, I don't even count because Penix wasn't out there. It was trash. So what London can do in that small window of time. Now, London's problem is London doesn't. There's always something. It's kind of like Jamar Chase, Burrow, London, Rashee Rice. It's like there's always something. Like, why isn't he doing it all year? Okay, who got hurt this time? Okay, was it London's fault? No. And the next year it's London's fault. Then the next year so there is a little bit of concern on that. But at the end of the day, back to the case in point, Zach Robinson, that offensive coordinator that made Kyle Pitts the number 2 tight end, by the way, which I hadn't mentioned yet. Kyle Pitts, the number 2 tight end. London was on pace to be a top 3 wide receiver, was wide receiver 1 3 different occasions. Bijan was number 1, has 800 receiving yards, 79 receptions, 1,400 rushing, double-digit touchdowns. That guy comes to Tampa to allow Bucky to do some of that. That will stretch out the defense. Baker will do a lot. Baker's so much better than Penix, even though I love Penix still in some ways, and I still have hope. I'm a little concerned because Stefanski's trash. But I do think Tommy Reese might get the most out of him. But will he be healthy in week 1? Will he not? Little concerning for London, for Penix. But Baker is still a very good quarterback. And I think Zach Robinson turns Baker back into the Baker we saw with Liam Cohen, turns Bucky into the best version of Bijan he can be. Not saying it's falling totally short, not saying it's going to be Bijan, but it's going to be something amazing. It's going to be a spectacle. And everybody thinking it's a joke that Bucky can do kind of what Bijan did to at least a watered down degree that still is a top 6 to 10 running back. Just wait, buckle up, get your popcorn ready. And that means Egbuka is going to become the London Kyle Pitts combination that Zach Robinson was able to make flourish. Buka's going to ball. People that don't take him because they're afraid of what happened last year, you're not spending draft capital that should concern you at all. It's low risk.
Yeah.
Sick Nasty.
Those first. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say Sick Nasty with the 39-month membership. Hampton bounceback player material. I mean, not only that, my boy, he's a...
The Jupiter Men.
Oh,
Jupiter is
Saturn.
The Saturn Men.
Saturn Man.
Step for man, one giant leap for...
Of course. He's not only bounceback material, he's a steal in round 2. Thank you for the 39-month membership. Sick Nasty to the moon. Go ahead, Travis.
No, I was just going to say, with Buka, those first 5 games of the season, coincidentally, him and Baker got banged up and injured in week 5, or either that or week 6 or week after that. And if you look at the numbers over the first 5 weeks, he was on pace for like 1,500 yards, 17 touchdowns, just ridiculous, Not even to say he necessarily has to get those numbers, but just to show right out of the gate as a rookie, you're able to, dominate like that. And it wasn't like it was, he was having like, just getting a ton of yards or a ton of big plays, like he had one game, 7 for 163. He had another 6 for 85 with no touchdowns. And then he had another where it was only 4 for 67, but he had 2 touchdowns. So, he can do it all over the field. He's a red zone threat, so it's hard to shut down a guy with that skill set and those tools.
Yeah. I can't wait for people to doubt him. You doubt Buka on your own accord. Buka is, I don't think I have him on any of these boards. I'm putting him on the Saturn board.
The Saturn Men.
One small step for man, one giant leap for Saturn.
Buka's a Saturn man. It's official. Spaceman, Saturn man, original fantasy football OG. And today's date is what? February 19. Okay, so February 19 for the Bookmeister. And let me just get this date. Yeah, I'm excited about it. The value is just crazy. It's so good. Everybody on here is such good value. Just tremendous value. They're all steals. Every single one of these guys.
With guys like Egbuka, who, when you look at the end of their season, didn't put up numbers. A lot of time you'll find in like your home leagues or your grandma league, stuff like that, where there's, half the league are paying attention and half the league are kind of casual players, whatever. Those guys will fall even a round or 2 later. So there'll be leagues you'll be able to get Buka in like the 7th round in some drafts.
Yeah, he's gonna be such a steal. That's why I'm telling anybody that takes this news, this live stream, anything I ever say about Buka, and you go reaching, that's your own fault. And when you say, Smitty, I did what you said, I hope you're right, I'm gonna say you didn't do what I said, and you're probably gonna lose. Loveland, a top 3 to 5 tight end. Book will probably still save you, though, but don't do it. Loveland, a top 3 to 5 tight end next year. I mean, top 5 is a lock, Brian, but the cost of entry is kind of crazy if the higher and higher he goes when you can get like Fannin and Tyler Warren in round 6, 7. You know, and if Loveland's going 3, it's just not worth it. Would I take a share in best ball? I don't think I would even touch it in home leagues, in non-best ball. Absolutely not taking Loveland in the 3rd round. But would I do it in a best ball late 3rd round, where again it kind of like with what I was talking about with Ladd, where it feels kind of like a 4th rounder? Would I do it once or twice out of every like 50 drafts or 100 drafts? Maybe, but that's best ball, and that's a $10 entry. That's a $5 entry. That's a $3 entry. A lot different than a $100 home league, where best ball also protects you in that if you do kind of scrimp at another position, the best ball aspect where you're drafting 5, 6, 7 guys to rotate in optimal scoring for the hole and vacancy you created by drafting Loveland, that gets taken care of better in best ball, and you can weather through stuff better. So if you create a hole for yourself, you draft a great rotation, you got Parker Washington instead of the receiver you were going to get in the 3rd round over Loveland. Now Loveland dominates and Parker Washington steps up. You got Travis Hunter cuffed to him, and all of a sudden you're covered in best ball, and it makes sense to do it. And non-best ball, don't even consider drafting Loveland in the 3rd round in non-best ball. It's just not good cost of entry at all.
Yeah, and even in best ball, like you said, I'd take a couple shares here and there, but on the whole, like you said, you know, right now Loveland's at 42, then you have Warren at 68, Fannin at 74, Kyle Pitts at 90, Gadsden at 104. Like, there's just so much value in those guys. I mean, Pitts, you know, I understand Pitts doesn't have a for sure QB. We're a little unsure on that situation, but he was tight end too in a messy situation, and he's at 90, you know.
Yeah, guys, if you're going to get a lot of Charger talk from me in the next coming weeks and months, and we're going to kind of reemphasize what we said about Ladd, reemphasize what we're saying about Hampton and Herbert, but Gadsden is in the same bucket of, as you've heard me say tonight,
I love him.
That Ladd didn't do anything, and he's not to blame. Hampton didn't do anything. He's not to blame. Herbert had a bad year. He's not to blame. Offensive line was in shambles. Herbert was running around with his head like a chicken with his head cut off. So Gadsden, who very much proved to be an elite tight end option, vanished. And everybody thinks, yeah, never mind, he was nothing. He was a flash in the pan. Well, guess what? If you're going to say that about Gadsden, you might be saying that about Hampton, Ladd, Herbert. And so you have to kind of answer the same question for all of those guys, Gadsden, Ladd, Hampton, Herbert. Was it the situation? And if it was the situation for Hampton, you better damn well start preparing for it to be the situation for Gadsden too. And Gadsden going in the hundreds versus Loveland in the 3rd round, it's not even close to the same in value context. Now, do I want a little share of Loveland here or there in best ball? Sure, because of the best ball component where I can draft a rotation of guys to cover that void that could create. Gadsden, though, is such a good best ball pick, especially if you couple him with another tight end. You could do crazy things like grab Sadiq, the rookie. You could grab Goddard. You could grab Kyle Pitts. You could grab Andrews and likely ends up going somewhere else. Obviously, he's essentially gone. But you could grab Ferguson and you could grab Kincaid and pair with Gadsden, and Gadsden becomes your 1, and the Fannin or Loveland 2025 in 2026. Gadsden just had his growth stunted a little bit.
I mean, think about that. You could go Gadsden 104. If you wanted, you could take Ferguson at 127, and then you could sit and take a likely at 175.
You could take Tungus in like round 18, as your 3rd.
Yeah,
if you want to turn best ball.
Colby Parkinson's going 200 right now.
Yeah.
There's so many options.
Thoughts Thank you for the $10 hauler, my boy Howard.
Mashed potatoes.
Is this Howard? What did I read? Did I just assume that was Howard? How dare you? How dare you? He looked like Howard. I like Howard better. How dare you, Howard? Howard, how dare you? Says thoughts on Calvin Ridley. Who's that? Who the hell is Calvin Ridley at this point, bro? Isn't that guy that used to play football? I don't think much of Calvin Ridley at all. In fact, that's the first time I've thought about him. I think since I thought about him when somebody mentioned him last time, and in a brief moment, and I forgot all about him again for weeks. I don't think there's anything there, bro. There's just nothing there. I mean, he wasn't. What do you even have last year statistically?
36 targets, 17 receptions, 303 yards.
Yeah, like how we hurt, but how we going from that to like bounce back? Like he's not gonna have a job sitting there.
31 years old.
There's no job waiting for him to say, hey, he's hurt. He's back in the starting lineup and he's going to get fed tons of target. Like he's not in that kind of positioning. So if this is
going to cut him, right?
Yeah, you're far better out. You want a couple names that come to mind, bro, that are better than this, that give you that same kind of cost of entry. I mean, obviously Parker Washington is a lot earlier, but like when you start from that level and start working your way down, love the idea of getting Dobbs. Dobbs is probably, I wouldn't want to say Dobbs is right next to Calvin Ridley. I don't know what their ADPs are, but Dobbs
Ridley's 173.
Okay, right, what's Dobbs?
138.
I mean, that's not that far.
A couple rounds. Right.
Not that far. Just plan a little bit ahead to make sure you're covering. But like Dobbs Alec Pierce is going to go a lot higher than that. But like Alec Pierce, Dobbs, those should be replacing your Ridley. But Dobbs is a phenomenal replacement, my boy. Phenomenal. I like DJ Moore a little bit, just as a grab, and especially in best ball where you don't have to decide when to play him. I like man, I'm trying to think of something deep.
I mean, like, I'll take Jalen McMillan at 157 before I take Ridley.
And Jennings maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Dobbs is my
actually drops more.
Yeah, Hunter
from 142 to 148.
There you go. Hunter and Dobbs are my two pieces of advice for you versus thinking like that. All right. Thank you very much, Howard. How dare you for dropping the $10 wad, you monster. Still waiting on Rumble. Just kind of like every once in a while, just wondering if we're going to get that. Just wondering if the show is going to start Monday. Just looking, just peeking over there, see if one of those Rumble wallet tips comes in, and we're dedicating a show to somebody, and we're starting it Monday. I know one of you can do it. And anybody that drops a $200 Rumble wallet tip that's done through BTC, Bitcoin, or Ethereum, or Tether Gold. Those are the three coins that they accept. But you can use your own wallet too. It doesn't have to be the Rumble wallet. But that's the culture over on Rumble. It's awesome. It's just different. It's fun. But if someone drops a 200 of any of those, you will get into the first person to do it will get into the Wild Wild West draft, which gets drafted live on the show in March, and you will win a pair of Gunner glasses. The way you got to look at that too is the Gunners can be $74 to $124.
Yep.
So you'll get a pair of Gunner glasses. The ones you'll probably win would be, I think it's either going to be the Dune, the ones that I just put on, or it's going to be it's either going to be the Dune. I can't guarantee which one yet. The Dune, the Witcher, or potentially these, which are the Intercept. These are the Intercept ones. I don't know if they'll have the Amber Max or the lighter yellow amber. I can't guarantee, but these are the Intercept. They're all blue light blocking. All I wear is blue light blocking gunners. Look at that gunner on the side. The best blue light blocking glasses in the business, in my opinion. So, first person to do a 200 does that, but you know. All right, Travis, what else you got real quick before we get out of here?
Just a couple things. Just going back to the Gadsden and the Ladd thing, I think another thing that's promising, I mean, it's obvious if you look at it that the talent is there and they'll be good if everyone's healthy, but the fact that both Ladd and Gadsden have like popped off and were dominating from weeks like 6 to 9 or 6 to 10 for that 4 or 5 game stretch. And like I was mentioning, that I think that's around the time Herbert was a QB1 in fantasy. Like everything was clicking, even with the injuries to their linemen. They had kind of figured it out a little bit. And then after that, you know, Herbert gets banged up and things fall apart. Gadsden got hurt, but you know, so you actually saw it for a month-long stretch where everything was clicking, even without their linemen, you know, healthy, and it was. You know, they were top options in fantasy. So
yeah, and if we look at
Rondé
Gadsden, who will be Gadsden will be a moon man. I can almost guarantee. Pete Wash and Gadsden, you guys are here late. You deserve a little nugget. That nugget, those two nuggets would be Gadsden and Pete Washington are probably going to be on the moon man list. So that will eventually come. But we looking at the game log for Gadsden, it was week. Let's see here. Sunday the 21st was that opening day or was that week 2? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Really, it was like week 4, 5, and 6, and kind of 7 where Gadsden went. He went kind of ballistic, and I'll put that up on the screen here. This is where Gadsden really went crazy, and in fantasy football dynasty circles, you had whispers of top 4 or 5.
Oh no, it was week 6 because he didn't play the first 2 games. I don't know. I think he might not have dressed.
Are you sure he didn't play week 2 and that was week 1 that he sat out? Was it really week
1? They played KC. Week 2 they played Las Vegas. I'm looking at the game log.
Denver was week 3.
Sure.
Denver was week 3.
Yes.
Okay, so week 6, 7, 8. So week 6, 7, 8, Gadsden. Let me get Loveland off screen so people don't get confused as to what I'm talking about. So week 6, 7, 8, Gadsden. This man right here.
Yep.
He had
even week 9 was fine for fantasy. You know,
7
PPR.
7 receptions, 68 yards. Started getting on the map. 7 receptions. Look at the targets. 7 receptions, 164 and 1. 5 receptions, 77 and 1. And after this game against the Vikings, and Vikings are a good defense. After this 77 and 1 game in week 8, he was being whispered about in dynasty circles as locked in top 5. And then he had this game 5 for 68. Everyone was still fine, like you said, with the next game. But then he fell off because the whole offense fell off. And
he got hurt against Pittsburgh.
And now he's picked 100 in best ball. Like people are just crazy, man. Gadsden to the moon. This site kills anything right now. The site? You mean the YouTube channel?
The show.
Thank you, my boy. Appreciate you. I think yes. It's not a site, but it's a channel. That's something my dad says. He's like, I watched your site last night.
Yeah.
Like, right, my site? What?
Mine
What are you talking about? I turned it on for a second. It was pretty cool. Surf, appreciate you. Surf to the moon.
Let's go, mashed potatoes!
I take great pride in that no one stands a chance against us. Once someone finds us, they ain't leaving. Or if they leave, they're upset about something. I told them to draft Egbuka in round 6, and they took him at 4. And then I tell them you're going to lose, and they're like, I'm in San Diego. Nice, Surf. I'm jealous. All right. Anything else, Travis?
Just two quick trade questions, if that's cool. One was from Aldi in the chat. He was asking, would you rather have BTJ or the 1.05 in a super flex?
BTJ or the 1.5? All right,
And
been
it's a
watching
super flex, just
for a
for
while. Like
context.
Rumble more though. I enjoy the content, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate you watching wherever you're watching, but love the Rumblers. You guys getting Rumble going. BTJ or the 1.5? Chat, what vote on this one? I think I'd take a gamble on BTJ, and that could change with the gust of wind swinging in. Honestly
If
could easily argue either one. I think it's a teeter-tottering to where you can legitimately argue either one because the
yeah,
1.5 is not guaranteed on any level at all.
right, because it's probably the third receiver that could possibly end up in the worst spot.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
I don't know.
it also depends on like if BTJ does get traded, anybody saying like MT or anybody saying 1.5 easy, like you're not saying that if BTJ's in
Right.
Buffalo
Well,
or England. You're coming back in here going, yeah, I love BTJ more. So you're
if
kind of
BTJ gets traded, it's a no-brainer BTJ for me.
right. And if you think, and if it's super flex, it's different than I'd say the 1.5. You guys got to be clarify that if it's super flex, because that changes everything. But I just think that what happens, um,
It is super flex. Yeah.
it okay. If it's super flex, then I would say
Yeah, yeah.
I'd say it's
Sorry. I thought you heard me say that. Sorry
oh
about
no
that.
no. You probably I probably didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
Because it's going to be the third. It's probably the third receiver, though, right?
Yeah,
Because
it's still complicated because I mean, if BTJ gets traded to Buffalo or New England, BTJ's worth more, and you're
right.
gambling either way. You're gambling that he gets traded or doesn't get traded. You're gambling that all the three wide receivers land in good spots. Otherwise, you could get
hmm
screwed. It's pretty even. It's pretty even.
Another way to look at it too is depending on your league, and this is more complicated. Is the 1.05 more valuable to your league than BTJ? Because can you take that 1.05 and get more than you could for BTJ? I know that's thinking down the line and more
Maybe,
complicated,
yeah.
but
I mean, I guess it just depends. But in general, without going that deep into it, I would just say I believe I could argue either side with 100% seeming confidence. I could,
and
the thing that people have to remember is as much as we want to act like BTJ is, we give up on him and move on. He was the number 4 wide receiver in fantasy football. You can't fake that. Like that happened, and he brought the talent enough to make it happen. And hats off to Mac Jones though too, and that's why JJ's stock goes through the roof if Mac Jones ends up in Minnesota. Because look what he did with BTJ, look what he did with Demarcus Robinson in San Francisco for that small stretch where he made him just a crazy wide receiver one for a stretch of games. But BTJ can't trip and fall into number 4 wide receiver numbers on an entire season as a rookie when he still hasn't even learned half of what he's going to learn. He was injured. It's really really tough, guys, to give up on somebody, and the 1.5 probably has better market value. So I guess if your goal is to flip whatever it is, BTJ flip them again or 1.5 flip it again, you probably will get more value out of the 1.5, especially if you're doing 2-for-1s and you're coupling 1.5 with something. But then again, man, if someone needs a wide receiver and in your dynasty league, wide receivers are hard to get in dynasty. He might hold a lot more trade value than you think if you had him. I think it's a toss up. I think it's 50-50. I don't think this is an easy one. I think it's right on the line.
yeah, yeah, because like you said, like imagine BTJ, you put him with a QB who's good deep ball throwers like a May or a Josh Allen, where he can just use that speed and athleticism and get down the field. he's gonna put up numbers again.
I mean, BTJ, if you're running the risk of him not doing this trade or getting rid of him or whatever side, you're risking just as much trading him or not trading him or acquiring him or not acquiring him than you are on the other side. Because, I mean, at this point, I think there's a real strong chance that they entertain trades.
They should. And so you got time for one more quick trade question?
Yeah.
I thought it was a good one just because we've been talking about JJ. So he wants to trade. He's trying to get Justin Jefferson, but the guy he's trying to trade with wants McBride and a 0.5 tight end premium. And so it'd be McBride with a 0.5 premium for Jefferson. And
McBride in a 0.5. And by the way, I kept saying DeMarcus Robinson. I don't know why I was saying Kendrick Bourne is what I meant to say. But right. Robinson did do well at the end there too. But
yeah, he had a couple good games.
I meant Kendrick Bourne. Sorry, I kept saying that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Say it one more time, Travis.
Yeah. So he's trying to get Justin Jefferson, the guy that wants Trey McBride. It's a 0.5 premium for tight ends. He doesn't have great tight ends either. You'd have to find a tight end somewhere else.
So JJ or McBride for JJ?
Yeah, and it's a 0.5 tight end premium league.
I mean, McBride's got to get you JJ and something. You can't do this straight up.
Okay, that's what I was kind of trying to say, and I was curious if you felt the same, because he was saying, I feel like McBride's value is higher right now.
Of course, it's in any kind of premium. If it was 1 point, he's a top 5 or 6 guy maybe, but in half point premium, he's still better than JJ right now. But I'm intrigued by buying low on JJ because his market value is low right now. You buy low on JJ,
right,
get something else, and then if JJ becomes the same player that we know he could be, and you've got a significant second piece, you're going to crush the trade. But you can't do this straight up. You have to do this for something like, I mean, it has to be good. It can't be trash. It's got to be like a good draft pick or a future first rounder or something like that. You cannot do this trade. The second rounder doesn't get it done or anything like that. A rookie second rounder, none of that.
All right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was curious your thoughts, if just because McBride with the premium on top of it is just really valuable right now. So.
All right.
Yep.
See you tomorrow, Travis. Later, bro.
Later.
All right, guys. Bye. I am out of here. Appreciate every single one of you. Thank you. Oh, here's a super chat by Ranger. Thank you. Ranger to the moon. Ranger, standing ovation. Yeah, buddy. Standing ovations for all these super chats. I'm going to try and do it the entire offseason. Just traded JSN JT for Gibbs JJ thoughts. Ranger, you still here? Just traded JSN and JT for Gibbs JJ thoughts. In Dynasty, I take Gibbs and JJ. So I'd like to trade for you. It has a chance of pissing you off this year, maybe, if the quarterback situation doesn't get tweaked in favor of JJ going back to form. But I think it's going to be Mac. If it's Mac, you're going to crush this trade. Mac Jones gets traded to Minnesota. JT has some long-term concerns for me. Love JSN, but I like JJ as much as JSN long-term once and if the quarterback situation's fixed, and it will eventually be. If it's not this year, that's where I say you could be pissed off. But I think that it'll get fixed. Gibbs is the best player in the deal, in my opinion. I don't want to say by far because JSN's fantastic, but Gibbs is my 1.1. I like this trade for you. I would have done it too. Sometimes I wonder if you can get more in these situations than just doing it, but I like it. I'm fine with it, bro. You did a good job. I'll see you all tomorrow morning. Thank you all on YouTube. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you, Ranger, you monster, you. Thank you, Howard. How dare you? a.k.a. Howard. Thank you to my Rumblers. Again, guys, anybody wants to get in the Wild Wild West League, Rumble wallet tip of BTC, Tether Gold, or Ethereum 200. You're in that league. Send you some gunners. Anybody drops that 500 bills in the BTC over there, you're going to trigger the Rumble show to start probably that next day. And I don't know how many days a week we'll do it. It'll certainly start off as one. My goal is to be 5 days a week. It really just depends on how big the Rumble channel gets to. If the Rumble channel gets as big as it starts feeling like the main channel, we have to do 5 days a week. Like, that's the whole point. Like, Rumble, if Rumble requires it, Rumble's going to get it. And while we're planning on doing the Rumble show at 10K and we're at 4.05K followers, that BTC 500 triggers it right away. Triggers it right away. And dedicated to you for a whole month on screen, top right corner, your name or your dad's tire shop or whatever you want up in the corner, assuming it's appropriate. No competitive business or something. Okay, Smitty. I'll see you all tomorrow. I'm live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. Live whenever big news breaks. Live at midnight Eastern almost every single night. No Dynasty show tonight. See you all tomorrow. Multiple shows tomorrow. Deuce. Thank you, callers. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Super Chatters. Thank you, Rumblers. Subscribe to the Rumble channel. Links in the description. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Links in the description. What is Mills or Malik Willis worth if available in a rookie free agent draft, Superflex Dynasty draft? Geez, it's a great question, Bullfrog. I'd probably say like borderline. Like, what do you guys think in the chat? Malik Willis got thrown into the rookie draft. Would he be? Don't worry, Mookie. You can still rewatch it. I would say, what do you guys think? 6 to 10 in a dynasty? I mean, I don't know. It depends. He might not even be. I think he's a starter. So, like, there's no for sure on that. But, like, maybe like 7 to 12. I just don't know exactly where in Superflex. I don't know. That's tough. Maybe he's not even 7. Maybe he's 10 or 11 overall, 7 overall, 8. I don't know. I think once he's a for sure starter, he goes into that 6 to 10, but hard to say. All right, see you all later. Drop your comments on that in the chat. See you all later.